Today on Judge Faith, a dispute over who should pay for a damaged horse trailer.
My right rear bumper hit the right front of the trailer. We called Jimmy. He's like, oh, don't worry about it. Can you still use it? We said, yeah.
Defendants are lying.
Jimmy, are you going to go down that road, really? Are you ready for this?
My question to you guys, why don't you think you owe the $2,000?
And later, these tenants had no idea their former landlady was a wanted woman.
My son ran upstairs and said, Dad, the police got Mom on the ground. They come there, get down, get down, get down.
What are you talking
get
about?
down.
We don't they were telling you to get
Yeah,
down?
get down, get down, get down. I guess she using my address. They like, you Italian? I'm like, no, I'm Victoria Hairstyle.
Were the police looking for you, ma'am?
Faith Jenkins. Her distinguished legal career began when she graduated first in her law school class. She quickly became a tough New York City prosecutor and then a preeminent legal analyst on cable news. And now she's the judge in her own courtroom. Her cases are real and her rulings are final. She is Judge Faith. Plaintiff Jimmy Scruggs says the defendants returned his rental trailer in terrible condition and now refuse to pay for damages. Co-defendants Seth Thomas and Kevin Becker say their insurance already paid the plaintiff, so they don't owe him anything. They are countersuing for defamation of character.
Remain seated and come to order. Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Faith Jenkins presiding. Your Honor, we have Scruggs versus Becker and Thomas.
Thank you, Barbara. Jimmy Scruggs,
Yes.
You were suing the defendants Kevin Becker and Seth Thomas
Yes, ma'am.
for $3,519 for damage you say they caused to your horse trailer.
Yes, ma'am.
And you all are countersuing for $1,000 for defamation of character?
That's correct, ma'am.
Okay, so we'll start with you, Mr. Scruggs. What happened here?
One of them called me in regards to a posted ad I have on Craigslist. I rent a horse trailer, and he said he needed it for Friday, and they have an appointment with a vet. They're carrying a donkey. Kevin says, well, it's $35 a day. I said, no, you must be looking at the old ad. If you look at something presently, it's $100 a day.
No, there was only one ad.
There was one ad.
There
for
was one
35
ad. There's
a day.
only
Okay,
no
so
one rents
go ahead.
trailers.
Defendants are lying, like they've held off on the money, obviously.
Here we go.
You know,
Oh, wow.
it's their nature.
Jimmy, are you going to go down that road, really? Are you ready for this? Here we
Don't
go.
have a problem.
All
Don't
right,
have a
I
problem
can't
with
wait.
it.
Okay, gentlemen.
Can't wait for my turn.
So we own a ranch. We operate a large organic farm where we do produce.
The two
we
of
do,
you?
Yes, we
Yes.
do organic beef. We do organic goats. we make,
What part of Texas?
It's actually called Farmersville. Go
Okay.
figure.
It's an hour outside of Dallas.
Yeah, just a
Okay.
little bit north. We do organic, like I said, organic vegetables, everything. We do homemade soaps out of goat milks. We do everything there.
So you take, and I know you disagree with that price, but let's go on. What
Okay.
happens? You take the trailer.
So we take the truck. I'm sorry, I got to back up. When I left the horse boarding place where we picked it up, I made a wrong turn 5 minutes after being off of there. I had to pull on a country mode
We
to
were
turn
cracking
around.
up laughing about actually our conversation with Jimmy for the last 2 hours.
So I made
There
a
was
left
3 of
turn.
us in the car, and we were cracking up because it was the weirdest experience we've ever had. So we cracked up and we missed our turn.
So I go back and back it back up, and I jackknifed, and my right rear bumper hit the right front of the trailer. Going a half a mile an hour, I was literally backing up. Soon as it hit, Steph, who was out there, said, stop.
Did you take any photos of the damage?
Unfortunately, we did not because it wasn't that bad. We called Jimmy. He's like, oh, don't worry about it. Can you still use it? We said, yeah.
So you all go on after that. You have the conversation with him. You go on and take Jack to the vet.
The vet wanted to do the castration in this trailer because it was really tight. The reason why I didn't bring mine is because there was too much room for Jack to move around in there. When you're doing this, they don't anesthetize him. They don't give him any painkillers.
All they do is
tie him
snip
to
it
the side of the
and bleed
wall
him out.
and bleed him out.
So Jack
That's
was
how they-
castrated in my trailer?
Jack was castrated in your
Castrated in your
trailer.
trailer.
And then I
Y'all
cleaned
did not
it with
ask for
sterile.
that.
Where's Jack the donkey
Jack
at that
passed
point?
away. Jack didn't make it.
How long after the castration did Jack die?
2 weeks.
2 weeks?
He died?
I'm sorry that happened to Jack, okay? It's unfortunate.
Coming up, what did these guys do that has Judge Faith calling their bluff?
I'm not going to take your word for it. I want the proof. You don't have it. You don't have it. It doesn't exist to me.
And later, these ladies turn up the crazy in court.
I have went over there and they had the dog
That's why I
locked
picked
in
the house.
the garage, okay?
How did they make you kill your dog?
Plaintiff Jimmy Scruggs says the defendants returned his rental trailer in terrible condition and now refuse to pay for damages. Co-defendants Kevin Becker and Seth Thomas say their insurance already paid the plaintiff, so they don't owe him any money. They are countersuing for defamation of character.
Did you take any photos of the damage?
I have photos of the damage.
Was this pre or post accident?
Pre.
Okay, what's the next photo?
That is the front. You see all new.
How much did you pay to have the damages
The
repaired?
estimate that their insurance company took from their adjuster was $2,520.66.
Okay, so their insurance company surveyed the damage.
Yes.
So we're here today and you're suing for $2,019.66. You say the remainder of the outstanding balance for the damages to your trailer. You said their insurance company would only pay $500. Your insurance coverage doesn't cover the remaining amount, so that's why we're here today, because we're $2,000. You
Because
say
I
you're
had to
still
pay
out of
it.
pocket for $2,000. Okay, my question to you guys, why don't you think you owe the $2,000?
First of all, we took it back to him. And at the time when we took it back to him, Jimmy goes, oh my God, don't even worry
That's
about
not
it.
my question.
I'll go pound
That's
it out
not
on
my
my
question.
own. We
That's
told
not
him
my
about
question.
Geico and gave him our insurance
My
there.
question is, there's $2,000.
I don't think this is from Geico.
No, there is an estimate from Geico. I want you to answer the question that I'm
Okay.
asking.
Okay.
My question is, why don't you think, because you admit you were in an accident, your insurance company gave this estimate. He didn't go to a mechanic, someone that he knows,
But that's all we
someone,
got.
one of his
That's
friends.
all we got. It's his friend. It's
Listen,
not
listen to
okay.
what I'm saying.
Okay.
Over $2,000 in damages to
Right.
the trailer. There's $2,000 that's not covered. Why don't you think you owe that?
Because A, I don't believe that the trailer's worth it. B, the only $2,000 damage I got was an estimate from his friend for $2,000 in labor to print it out.
you
That's
look there-
all I have ever seen.
What is your defamation of character counterclaim about?
In March, we were actually dealing with some of our cattle. My Facebook started going off, just over and over again. Every customer who's ever been to my Facebook page and has bought chicken, soap, beef, whatever, has gotten a response from Jimmy saying,
Do you know that, do your clients and friends know that you guys are criminals, that you steal other people's property, and then you boast about it on Facebook?
so I called
Every
Facebook.
one of our customers at
not
SD
true.
Ranch,
Do you have any copies of the
we,
Facebook post?
we have
Well,
the
I
response
have,
from
so
Facebook.
Facebook was really helpful. They
they
scrubbed the whole entire page, took anything
Deleted
down,
his
deleted
account.
his account.
Do you have any of the Facebook posts you say he posted on your page?
Just
got
my
the
statements
statement from
back
the
to our customers.
Okay, so
saying
you
that
don't
what he
have
did.
proof. You don't have proof of defamation for court. That's what I need for defamation.
But it
Okay.
even says, we apologize for Jimmy coming
You
out
have
and
our
saying all
post
those.
where
Sir,
we went online and
sir.
said
It was
that.
back in the
I
28th
don't.
of
Your
March.
posts don't help me. If you want to prove defamation, you have to prove that he made statements that defamed your character.
And he did.
Well,
I'm
that's why I
not.
had to go
I'm
out
not
and
going
put
to
a
take your
response
word
back
for it.
out.
I want the proof, and I want to see the Facebook post. If you don't have it, you don't have it. It doesn't exist to me. All right. Based on all of the evidence that I've reviewed in this case, on your counterclaim for defamation of character, that's dismissed. You get 0. On your claim, sir, for $3,519, I find that the defendants do admit that they were in an accident in your trailer and caused damage to your trailer. I do accept the estimate that you gave me from Geico with the estimated damages to the trailer. I also credit the evidence that you gave me that Geico paid $500 towards that damage, and there's an outstanding balance of $2,019.66 due to you. My judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,019.66 in addition to court costs. Judgment for the plaintiff. Have a good day.
Plaintiff LaTanya White says her former tenant trashed her rental property and then skipped out on paying the rent. But defendant Victoria Henderson says she left the house spotless, even after LaTanya forced her to put down her beloved pit bull. She's countersuing for pain and suffering and the cost of her dog. She is accompanied by Kawan Taylor.
Ms. White, you're suing the defendant for $2,600 for rent and damage to your rental property. Ms. Henderson, you claim you paid all the rent, left the house clean so you don't owe any money. And you have a countersuit for $4,000 for the cost of a dog and pain and suffering.
Correct.
Ms. White, I'll hear from you first. What's going on?
I paid a realtor company to manage my property.
Can you tell me a little bit about your property?
Yeah, it's a nice home. It's a bungalow, 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath. So when I first seen them, I had transferred my mail, and I had to go over there to get the remaining of my mail.
What month was that?
That was around February.
Okay.
Around February. When I came, her husband, Kiwan, had came to the door. When he opened the door, a dog ran out. Now, in the lease, it states no pets. So I didn't say anything to him. I went to the realtor, and when I talked to him, I let him know that,
there were no pets allowed.
Exactly. So he called her husband and spoke with her husband about the pet, that the pet couldn't be there.
She didn't ever tell us we could have had a pet in the house. She came over the house beating on the door.
Wait, who are you, sir?
He's
I'm
lying.
Kawan Taylor.
Okay, and you're married to the defendant?
Yes.
So we're not married.
Oh, okay. Well, you say yes.
We come
You
along.
say
We've
no,
been
so I'm
together for 16
confused.
We've
That's
been
what
together
they
for
are, they're
16
liars.
years.
I'm sorry?
We've been together since '99. We just never got married since
Oh, okay.
1999. Long time.
Okay, well,
I
you
like
might need to get him to put a ring on it. That's all I'm saying. That's
Yes.
a long time. All right, but that's none of my
Yeah.
business. All right. So she told you at some point that she didn't want a dog in the house.
Yes, or you
what
have to
happened?
leave. She said, there's no pets allowed on this property, or you have to leave.
Okay, so what decision did you make? Did you keep the dog or did you
I
leave?
had to call Humane Society. They put the dog down because it's a pit bull. I don't know why I'm here, because if the house was so messed up, she wouldn't have just sued me.
Well, I'll tell you why you're here. She said that you owe for back rent, so let's go over the months and dates that you said that she owes for. So tell me the month and year that you say she owes back rent for.
Okay, she owes for the month of April, the month of February, and the month of...
You sound like you're not sure.
I had my receipts and everything, but had I known that, I would never been able to use my evidence.
I understand what's going on with your evidence, ma'am. I understand that they asked you to submit evidence in this case numerous times, and you did not do so in a timely
Correct.
manner. And you came to court today with all of these receipts and a receipt book. And I'm a judge. I'm not an accountant. It's not my job to go through your receipts and try to figure out what's owed and what's not owed. So it's not my job to do that. So if you don't have the evidence in front of you as you stand at that lectern today, then I can't consider it. All right, let's go to the next item you're suing for. That is damages to the house. Do you have photos of what the house looked like prior to when the defendants moved in and after they moved out?
I have pictures of after when they moved out.
Do you have
The
photos of what
cabinets.
the house looked like
No, I
before
don't.
they moved in?
No, I don't.
Let me see the photos of after. Can you describe what's in this picture?
This is how they left the house. It was trash everywhere.
Is this what the house looked like when you move out?
No, Your Honor. I
That's
cleaned the
all
whole,
our
I cleaned
cleaning
the whole
supplies.
house
As you
up.
can see,
that
that
was
is
the cleaning
common.
supplies.
Hold on, one at a
Bleach.
time.
Okay,
One at a
That
time.
was the cleaning supplies that I
It was
packed with
trash
us. That I packed with us
everywhere.
and took with us. When I cleaned their whole house up.
It was a hole in the wall.
Hold on one
and
second.
down.
Who took this photo?
I did.
When was it taken?
It was taken the day that they gave me the keys. That's the stove. That's how they left the stove. That's caked up grease from them frying chicken or whatever they was frying. Grease stacked on top of grease and grease. That's how the microwave looked as well.
And did you
Grease.
do this to the stove?
Yes, she did it. How
Okay.
can I
Well,
do
the problem
that?
is,
like that.
the
It
problem
was
is you
used.
don't have pictures of
It was
what
used.
the stove looked like before they moved in. They say they didn't do this. It was a
was
used
used.
stove,
Yes.
and it looked like that prior to them moving in, and you don't have proof to state otherwise.
Coming up, Judge Faith puts their performance on pause.
Boop it in
Okay,
there.
listen, I've heard enough. I've heard enough from everyone. When you come to court, there is order and a process, and you have to abide by the rules, or else I can't consider the evidence.
Plaintiff Latanya White says her former tenant skipped out on paying the rent. Defendant Victoria Henderson says she left the house spotless and owes the plaintiff nothing. She's countersuing for pain and suffering and the cost of her dog.
Who are you?
I'm Latonya's husband,
He
Charlie
was in
Smith.
jail the whole
Okay,
time.
step up, sir. What do you have to add to this?
They didn't want to pay the money. They didn't want to move out.
They getting violent
She asked
towards
me when I was evicted.
Okay, what do you mean they got violent
Okay, they
towards
got
you?
violent. I went over there and I was talking to her about keeping the
When we
line.
got put on the ground for
keeping
the
the
police
line
for them,
up. Can
looking
you
for them.
please be
Hold on,
quiet?
The
please.
Don't
police was looking for
interrupt.
y'all.
Ma'am.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
The police came over to their house?
The police came over because they were called.
What happened when the police came?
Yes, they came there while I was taking out the garbage one morning. They come there, get down, get down,
What
get
are
down.
you talking
Get
about?
down.
We on something
They were telling you to get
Yeah,
down?
get down, get down, get down. I guess she using my address still, because that's how her mail, like she told you she coming there getting her mail, so she must have still been using
She's
our
lying.
address. Like, get down, get down, get down. I'm like, what? They like, you Latanya? I'm like, no, I'm Victoria Henderson. I had to go get my ID for them, show them that I'm Victoria Henderson. Well, call her up. You know, I'm like, well, this is my landlord, you know? So I called her. He went out there, he was like, cause y'all can't, you know, we can't know whatever he called her about. He was like, you will be caught, so you better come in. This is the state police, you can look
She's
it up
lying.
with her name.
lying.
This is the state police, it's on record somewhere.
Were the police looking for you, ma'am?
Yes.
I had to come up out the basement because the police had her on the ground
What
outside.
were you
They
doing in the
lying.
basement?
He had to
They
get
are-
my
Because
ID.
that's where
so the police
we
weren't
be
never
at.
looking for
We be
you?
in the basement.
You were
a lot.
taking cover in the
Honor.
basement.
Yeah, we take
Yes.
cover in the basement. We be in
Yes.
the basement a lot because we got a TV.
No, we
it's
stay
like
in the
furniture
basement.
down there.
We stay
had
in the basement.
tables,
I got pictures.
chairs, couches, TV, everything down there.
Yes.
So when my son ran upstairs and said, Dad, the police got mom on the ground. I went up there, come upstairs, they had her on the ground. Then that's when I had to go get her ID and let them know that she's
And they
Victoria
called.
Henderson,
State
steady
police, it's on
Latanya White.
So that didn't happen. What
No.
they're saying did not happen.
No.
Oh, wow.
Eventually, you had them evicted
I did.
from the home.
I did.
Over a water bill.
No,
Non-compliance
over
of the lease.
non-payment of rent.
Non-
Well, it
I got it
sounds
right
like from
here.
what I hear,
Non-payment
it was
rent.
best that the two of you separate anyway, and you move out and find
Yes,
another place
yes,
to live.
yes,
And where do you
ma'am.
live now?
Yes, I stay on more beautiful home.
How much is your rent that you pay now?
$8.59. Nice home. I like nice things for me and my family.
Why are you suing for the cost of a dog?
Yes, because I had a blue pit. It was $1,000.
Why are they responsible for the cost
Because
of
they
your
made
dog?
me kill my dog.
She called the Humane Society out there.
How did they make you kill your dog?
Okay, she said that you will have to get out. I don't have no money like that. She like, you have to get out if you don't get rid of the dog. So that's
don't
when I
owe you
called Humane
anything.
Society.
You owe me. Your Honor, they had the dog locked in the garage, flies all
Then
around
I
the
had to pay
garage, so it
$60
was
for
booping in
Okay,
there.
listen, I've heard enough. I've heard enough from everyone.
And now, Judge Faith rules.
First of all, I'm sorry about your dog and that you had to put the dog down, but that is not her responsibility. She has a choice as the owner and the landlord of the property to decide if she wants tenants to have pets there. And she chose to not allow that in her home. But she's not legally responsible under the law because you made that choice. You understand?
Yes, ma'am.
So that's why on your counterclaim for the cost of dog and pain and suffering, 0. Now let me get to your lawsuit and your claims. You are suing for back rent and late fees, damages and repairs. When you come into court and you sue, you have the burden of proof. You have to come in and establish to me month and year that they did not pay rent, month and year that they were late to rent. You can't just come in and say, well, I think it was January,
I'm
I
not
think it
saying
was
I think,
March,
I know
I
when
think
it
it was
was.
April, but you didn't have your evidence. And I know you're saying, no, let me finish. You did not submit your evidence in a timely manner, so I could not consider that evidence. It's just like it did not exist to me. There is order and a process to the things that we do here, okay? And I understand that may not be the way you do things in your everyday life, but when you come to court, there is order and a process, ma'am, and you have to abide by the rules,
And
or
I
else I
did.
can't consider the evidence, and you didn't. So for back rent and late fees, you did not meet your burden of proof that they owe you anything, so for that, 0. Damages and repairs, you showed me photos.
No.
You showed me photos.
No, I'm leaving.
It's fine, she can leave. She can leave because it's a part of the problem. Damages and repairs, she brought in photos of what the house looked like after. She has no before photos to show that those damages were caused by you or your husband while you lived there in the apartment. So on that claim, 0 as well. So on your counterclaim, 0. The plaintiff's case is dismissed in its entirety. Have a good day.
Thank you, Judge.
Go ahead and collect your documents. Thank you. I'll put